Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Murdoch DeFi YouTube channel. And in this video, I sat down with actually a pretty close friend of mine in the space known as Pocket Aces. Plenty of you guys watching the channel know about him. He also has his own YouTube channel. I will link that down below in the description. But he is also kind of like the community lead for a project called iBots. And essentially, with this protocol called iBots, what they are doing is giving you access to their bots traded on centralized exchanges. Now, this is not going to be the type of protocol that is offering you 1% today, 2% a day, things like those kinds of like really degenerate numbers that we've typically been seeing across the board in all these bot plays that I've talked about quite a few on the channel here. This one is producing between 1 and 15% over the course of the month, right? So it's definitely a lot different than what you would expect with, like I said, the typical bot plays that we've been talking about here on the channel, where we're earning upwards of 2% per day. Now, we sat down. I tried to make the AMA. I took some of your feedback from the last video, or the last AMA that we did, in trying to condensing the information down into 3 questions, really, right? The first question that I always am going to ask people when I do an AMA with somebody is, how are you guys generating revenue, and do you have proof of it? Now, iBots is a protocol that has a ton of proof. If you check their Discord, they list out like all their current open positions, what the positions are when they close, how much profit was generated, all that stuff on like literally every transaction that takes place on their bots. So their bots are running. They're running. The strategy they're running is similar to, if you guys are familiar with the shiny jackal bots. The strategy that they're running is similar to those types of bots. So they're using RSI as like indicators, and they're also using this like DCA / martingale strategy to open up or close positions, right? They're using leverage trading, 20x leverage, and like I said, this is happening or taking place over on Bybit. So obviously there's some risk associated. Obviously we have the risk of not knowing who the team is, other than, like I said, Pocket Aces. And then you also have the added risk of having the accumulated funds or the pooled funds on a centralized exchange. And we all know how that's gone this year, right? Or last year, with things like FTX and stuff like that. That's why I don't run my shiny jackal bots anymore, is because FTX that's where I had the bots running. That's where I had all that capital, and it's no longer. The other question I ask is, well, how do I make money, right? I want to know realistically how I interact with the protocol, how I make money, how much money I can make, and then finally, what the team plans in terms of KYC. And I'm really kind of trying to stress KYC to every project that I talk about. And I know that there's some pushback there, because people will just kind of say, oh, well, you've been rugged by projects that have KYC'd in the past. And I think that excuse is not a great excuse. That's why I've been trying to lean on these protocols, like Rely Fund and other ones that I'm talking about here on the channel. I've been trying to push into KYC. The Circulate guys, we have an AMA app, recorded an AMA with them this morning. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the AMA. Alrighty, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the Murdoch DeFi YouTube channel. And in today's video, we actually have a pretty good friend, Pocket Aces, on to have an AMA and talk about a protocol called iBots. So Pocket, welcome to the channel, man. It's going to be probably the first of many times that we have you on here. But yeah, I'm excited to chat with you today about this project. But if you kind of give us like an intro of like what your part or what your role in the team is, and then kind of just like a broad spectrum overview of what iBots is, right?
Yeah, no worries. So just, a quick thing for me is I kind of got involved through them. They actually reached out to me after my AMA with James Pelton, where I kind of unmasked myself, as you've done recently. So congrats on that. Yeah. And then from there, they reached out through another place that I mod presently, because I'm kind of kind of a little bit everywhere, as you and I all are. From there, they reached out kind of asking because they felt I was kind of a right fit. We had a good chat, did a couple of video chats as well to kind of get to know each other and make sure we're the right fit for each other. And they offered me an option to be on the team, which was pretty fantastic and right up kind of where I'm trying to gear myself in the DeFi community, trying to create my own income through this culture and this environment to try and kind of get rid of my day job, as we spoke about, I think, during my AMA. Yeah. So in turn, the project itself and the reason why I got attached to it quite easily is, well, we're all very used to getting rugged, and that's not a good thing to get used to. So in here, they've offered a protocol that is fully transparent, as best as we can be, I guess, which is showing trades in a lot more detail than we're used to seeing, and hopefully looking to evolve and create a real sustainable project that can actually go months, years, and kind of thing, which definitely spoke to the kind of person I am and the kind of projects I'd like to see in the environment. So yeah, and basically it's just right now it's crypto trading, and then hopefully we'll evolve from there as the needs arise and as the opportunities present themselves.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, well, I found out about iBots obviously through you, right? Mm-hmm. And I had kind of mentioned it in one of my like weekly update videos of something that was new and up on the radar, and I was kind of testing out. But I don't think it was quite live yet to like the public.
Yeah, still in beta, I guess.
Yeah, and correct me if everything is up and running live now?
Yeah, we're 100% live. Okay. We're still kind of stealth launching, if you will. This is one of our first AMAs, and luckily I was able to give you a chance to do that, which I was happy to do. Cool. And then I think I've had one video, and I think one other YouTuber has put a video out, and we'll hopefully, obviously, kind of keep staggering it like that, because we're not looking for the moonshot. We're not looking to get to 2 million overnight. It'd be great, but that's not what we're about.
Yeah. Well, I think that what iBots has to offer is a little bit different than what typically people would expect, right? Like, obviously we know that these bot protocols are like the most hyped thing right now. But this is just how it works in DeFi in general, right? Like we see first bot project pop up or insert whatever, miner, ROI DApp, whatever. But we saw the first one pop up with StableFund. Obviously, we know how that's gone. But typically what we see is like a progression of like incentives increasing, right? Where it's instead of 1.5% per day, it goes up to 2%. Next thing you know, there's going to be a project that's operating 3% per day. And it's like, and then it gets to this point where it just blows up in everybody's face.
Yep. And a lot of people get hurt.
Right. And I mean, rightfully, a bunch of people already have, right?
Yeah.
That the majority of people that are going to watch this video were probably in some way, shape, or form invested in the StableFund, and here we are now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the three things that I would like to kind of start with, and this is the way that I've been kind of like leaning in or trying to figure out certain projects, or if it's something that I'm interested in investing in. And the first thing so there's three things that I ask myself, right? The first thing is going to be, how is this protocol generating revenue? And do they have proof of it? And that's something interesting because you guys post like results on a daily basis. Can you kind of walk us through that and what that looks like?
Yeah, I should pull them up there to inform myself too a little bit, make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, so we have the profit summary or the running positions. So we actually show the positions that are running, not live, but they are kind of posted consistently daily or every couple of days. Yeah. And then we have the closed P&L. So the profit and loss statements for closed trades on Bitcoin and USDT is mostly what we're doing right now, just because it's kind of a safer one. So and as you said, we're not 2%. We're not even close to that right now. But a lot of it is because we're trying to make sure we stay safe and protect our investors or our members. And then there's a profit summary, which goes into very good details down to how much the bots ROI'd for each individual person or each individual unit, almost, I guess, if you will. And it shows the win rate, which we are 100% win rate. But again, it's because of how they're kind of, we're staggering this and kind of doing it in a responsible way to try and make sure we're not losing our members' money. So.
Right. And I'll go ahead and pull it up on the screen here. But you can kind of see, like, based on, well, this is kind of an example of my account, right?
Yeah.
I only have a little bit of money in here. But you can see what the daily rewards are, and you can go through the calendar and see what the bot has produced. Obviously, with these bots, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that these bots are using leverage trading on Bybit.
Yeah. So
And the way,
20x. And, yeah,
right. They're
DCA.
using 20x leverage. They're using like a DCA / like martingale strategy.
Yeah.
So the way that those bots, because I've actually run some on my own. I haven't been anymore because of all the stuff that happened to FTX. But really, I'd never seen those bots that I was running that was following those same kind of strategies. I don't know if they're set up differently for you guys, but I never really saw any of those bots ever take a loss, right? Because it's just dollar cost averaging, and then they were kind of hedging against each other because let's just say we had a long bot open on Bitcoin. There would also be a short bot open on Bitcoin too. So like those two positions were kind of hedging against each other.
Yeah, and you might delay your gratification because the short might take longer because there's a little run or the vice versa. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly how these ones are run. Very similar fashion, and so it creates that environment where we can't lose, but we're also, well, theoretically can't lose. Obviously, there's always exceptions.
Right.
But and we even saw it, I guess, in November, we had a lot of them ran for a good week or two before anything closed because Bitcoin just wasn't doing much.
Right.
Or even, sorry, I think it dropped quite a bit. So the shorts closed, but the longs had to sit for a while until it had an increase. So, I mean, some of that stuff will happen. That's why on the calendar you're seeing there, we're not seeing closes every day. That's not realistic. That's like these ones that are saying they're doing that. It's not happening.
Right. Okay. So that first question was, how do you generate revenue? Do you have proof of it? Obviously, you guys have tons of proof of it. So that's all good to see. That stuff's updated all the time. Like that stuff's more updated than any other kind of bot play or bot protocol that I've seen in the space. So it's definitely pretty cool. Second question is, how do I make money? So how do I interact with, or if somebody wants to potentially look at this at iBots, like how do you interact with the contract? How does everything function and work?
Yeah, so a little different as well because there really is no contract. There's a DApp that sends the money directly to, in this case, Bybit, and then the team, the bot team, basically receives that money and then injects it into the contract. So as you might have seen when you put your 250 in, and I did the same thing to start off for now, and we'll put more later, is the funds went in, you didn't see much at first, and then as soon as somebody interacted with it manually, you saw maybe a pending transaction and then an approved transaction. And once it's approved, your bot's running. And that's why it's minimum 250 is because you need about that to make a bot make sense to activate it.
Yeah.
Over time, maybe we'll adjust those limits as we get more popular and hopefully get more members, and we can kind of see that amount grow. Then we're getting more funds every day to make sure we can start a bot with a combination of them.
Right.
So yeah, so when you'll interact right in the DApp that you're in, obviously deposit is there, so it's pretty simple. You'll create a address for yourself, which you'll use to send the money from USDT, either on the Tron network or on the BSC network. And this is where the team's been really great. And when they invited me on, they were actually only on the Tron network. So I kind of talked to them. I said, I get that, and I understand that some countries that's normal and that's great, but in a lot of the places where I interact, BSC is the king. BSC kind of needs to be there, and within a day they had the DApp updated. So they're really reactive and really receptive to the information that I give them. And some stuff I've even gotten from talking to you or talking to other guys that I feel comfortable with and getting their input to make sure that we do right by this protocol.
Now you see here that there's a maintenance fee countdown. What's that regarding, like the maintenance fee?
Yeah, so the maintenance fee is to pay the bot runners because we do have to pay everybody, including our team one, which comes from the profits. So the maintenance one is basically going to be a monthly thing. We will not charge it, and we've announced that on the Discord too, is we will not charge that if we're not making enough money to cover it, right? Like we're not
Right.
here to make our investors lose money. So if
Right.
we've only made 1 or 2% or 1.5% or whatever in the month, then we're not going to charge the maintenance fee. We'll
Right.
take it off of the team wallet and we'll cover it that way. The other way that the fees are built into the system is when we do earn money, and that was the other thing. They started out with a deposit fee, which when we talked about it a little bit further, that was going to make it hard for people that maybe needed to make a quick exit. So
Right.
by changing that up and creating a fee structure where we have to win with the bots in order to pay ourselves, that creates more comfort with everybody involved. And so the only way we win is if the bots win, in which case you guys win. So it's I think a really good structure on how we've kind of come to this. And again, it wasn't overnight, but it was through some really good discussions with me and the founders and the team, the rest of the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So when you guys, so let's just say I'm a new investor and I'm not already invested in the protocol. I want to jump in with that 250. Is that money getting pooled and just that pool of funds is used by the bots to trade, or is this opening like a whole nother bot for my position personally in trading based on the amount of funds that I
Yeah.
hold?
So right now, obviously, like I say, the 250 is kind of going in. We're a little bit like we're just starting out. So in the
Yeah.
most part, it will be kind of a bot that started at that moment, a new one that started in that moment to create an instance, but it's inside the same account as far as I'm aware. I don't do that side of it, but I believe I understand it enough to say what I'm saying is fact. And then obviously, if we have a few people come in at once, we'd probably pool those together. But it's not like each trade is your individual trade that's happening. It's all being done over the whole group of funds that are put together. So when we show our stuff inside Discord, it's showing the whole and not the part.
Right.
If that makes
Now,
sense.
yeah, definitely. And then finally, so that's question two. And finally, the last question is, where does the team stand as far as like KYC goes?
Yeah, so right now that is in our facts. So that's the other thing. If people are looking to research it a bit, the white paper and the facts are a great way to go. Right now, obviously, I'm sort of, I guess I'm not officially, like I haven't shown my driver's license to anybody, but
Right.
I'm out there. I've said my name. I'm happy to say it openly. I mean, my name's on here. It's Justin. My last name is Steve's. So anybody can kind of find me. But the team themselves, yeah, they are remaining basically anonymous right now, if you will.
Right.
But they're in the Discord. They're out with me. We're battling together. We have done a video chat, so it's not just this is just some random guys that asked me to be on the team.
Right.
We have physically chatted face to face. So there's a little bit of that. And down the road, they do say and they do plan to dox. This protocol is here to be for a while. This is how we're setting it up. The idea is that this lasts a long time and we accumulate. This is where people can kind of take their risk capital that they've kind of put in some DEGEN play, bring it over, and now put it somewhere safe to grow for them.
Right.
So with that being the case, they will in the future, especially once we kind of establish ourselves and show that we're a force to be reckoned with.
Cool. So let's talk about like worst case scenarios. So let's just say that you guys are trading on Bybit and Bybit happens to go down or is found to be insolvent. They lock withdrawals. What happens if that's where all the user funds are at?
Yeah, and that's, I mean, obviously, you know the answer to that one, and so does most of us, but obviously there is those, I guess they call them black swan events
Right.
that could occur. And there's really no getting around that kind of stuff completely. Obviously, over time, I would expect that we'd try and diversify in different ways. There is, obviously, we had a Forex thing started, and we will go back to using Forex as well, which will help diversify us that way.
Mhm.
And then obviously there's options of going into different exchanges as well. But this stuff will take time, and as we grow, we'll assess those risks and try and make sure we're limiting them as much as possible for everybody involved. But there's no doubt, obviously, if even if we diversify, if one of them goes down, there's still going to be issues, right? It's still lost money that we need to find a way to recover. So
now you just mentioned something with you guys were doing some Forex trading.
Yeah.
What's going on there and what happened?
Yeah, it's a pretty short story right now. I'm not going to get into crazy details, but the big thing we entrusted a Forex trader. We had done a fairly decent background check. We felt fairly comfortable with who we were dealing with. But unfortunately, that just and I don't want to get into names and pulling names of who and what, whatever, but it just didn't work out. So, and unfortunately, it did cause an overnight loss. We had literally just started the bots up. He had mentioned that maybe there was a mistake he made. As soon as we tried to recover the funds or talk to him about how to fix this problem and learn from the problem, he basically just pieced out. So basically, the founders took care of it. This was a great chance for them to prove themselves and prove that they're here for the long term. So they ended up covering the loss, and we're just moving forward. But we're going to be obviously far more cautious before we start with Forex again.
Right. So they've based on what you've said, they have 100% covered any amount of fundage that was lost through this Forex trader, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's been no loss to any of our members or investors, and we're just moving on from there. But as I said, we're going to be far more cautious and make sure that we make the right choice going forward.
Okay. And do you guys have any like plans for the future? Are there certain like, because I know that you have just looking at it, if the Discord is correct, the number on the Discord, but it looks like you have about, I mean, 48,000, just shy of 49,000 kind of TVL, or like the value that the bots are using to trade with.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any goals as far as like TVL, what you would like to see as far as growth, or any plans in the future?
Yeah, I don't know if we really discussed that too much. I'd love to see it obviously get into the millions. I think there's good opportunity for everyone to find a safer route for them. We're going to have to prove ourselves, so it's not going to be an overnight sensation. But at the same token, yeah, I'd like to see us get to kind of 2-3 million. I mean, as long as it's enough that they can handle what we're doing, and as long as we're keeping with our structure and trying to be as safe as we can, but still give some returns to our members, then that's really all I care about. Like I say, hopefully over time we can keep growing and growing, especially if we're doing it in this more conservative way. I think we can handle a larger than other ones, but I'm not a massive trader yet. I'm learning from them a little bit. Hell, I'm learning from you and from other YouTubers. I've done most of my stuff in just DEGEN plays as well as NFTs and stuff. So I'm still
that's what I love, man. That's my yeah. I would rather jump into a new protocol like I did last night and then go to like a casino and waste money there. I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's just me though. I understand it's not for everybody.
No, it's not. But
so
casino's a guaranteed loss.
Right, exactly. So is there like a projection as far as like, let's just say a monthly percentage in terms of ROI or yield?
Yeah, so they've given us, we basically have a range of 1 to 15%. Obviously, it'll depend a lot on the market. The issue is December, and I think even other protocols that do show more information like ours saw a fairly flat month. I mean, Bitcoin was almost a stable coin for a while.
Yeah, it was pretty sideways. So
yeah. So with that as it is, that one definitely was not hopefully going to be our norm.
Okay.
But the idea is, yeah, to get hopefully mid 1 to 15% would be fantastic. If we hit around the 7% on average, I think that would be great. But it's going to be we're in a bear market, so we'll see how it goes.
When I was running bots on FTX, and they were pretty conservative, and I was trading with, well, I mean, I lost about $30,000 over on FTX. But like I said, the bots were set up in a way that they were pretty conservative as far as like risk levels go. And I think I was doing, I would say somewhere between 9 and 15% return per month. So I think that's realistic. But also too, like we're saying, that's definitely not going to, I mean, it's good. Those are the type of numbers that attract a very different investor, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to 2% a day or 1.5% a day or 1% a day. When we're talking about, the potential of, 15% being on the high end for the month, right?
Yeah.
That's a very different type of investor. But like you said, like this is definitely a tool to use to help grow, or like use the daily yield that you earn from more of these like DEGEN protocols and invest it in, or put it somewhere where that there's a team that you can trust. And obviously you're going to want to make sure that I will leave a link to the iBots Discord down below, so that way you can get in and check it out for yourself. But at the end of the day, just understand that, just because it is offering like a lower percentage APR, then it doesn't necessarily mean it's inherently unrisky, right? Like these things are super risky. Like something could happen, the market could go crazy, positions could get liquidated. And that's all to say that the team is doing everything that they say they're doing, right? Like that's just those are other things to take into account too. But yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how it goes for you guys. But I will say that since I've got in, I don't know when exactly did I get in? When did you guys launch? Or what
I
was
was
kind
gonna
of
say
like
it would have
opening
been
up?
just after Christmas, I think, if I remember correctly.
So I think I got in like right when you said, and
Yeah.
they've been doing everything that they said that they're going to do. So it's definitely cool to see. And Pockets on the team. So
but that doesn't mean go ape in. But
right.
Like anything, I'm on this project, and I agreed to be on this project because I'm comfortable with the team. But that doesn't mean everything's going to be all rainbow and roses and stuff, right? So we're still in DeFi.
Yeah, that's for sure, and that's another thing. Like, there's so many risk factors. Even if the team does everything that they say they're going to do, let's just say that the team that it completely doxes, but you still have the risk of having funds on a centralized exchange. You have the risk of like, we don't know where the market's going to go. Like, people say, oh, well, we're getting a little bounce here, and then people say like we are going back down to like $10,000-$12,000 Bitcoin. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? It's like it's a 50-50 chance to get it right or wrong.
Exactly. So yeah, no, it's true.
So I mean, there's other risks there too. But it is what it is, and this is sometimes the game that we play.
And as much as we all love the DEGEN plays, sooner or later you have to start hedging some of your funds, right? And so hopefully this, and then other things, not even just this.
Well, here's the thing with the DEGEN stuff. Like, sure, I like doing that stuff, and there's ways that I've found with just interacting with so many of them. There's ways to make money, right? But there's also a ton of risk associated with that. And the reality of the situation is that none of these bot protocols are going to be around forever, right? Like, eventually you get to a point where even if the team is doing everything correctly, you get to a point where there's going to be problems within teams between team members that is going to unravel protocols, and then and then somebody wants to take off with the money, and then the team's lying about where the money went, or they lost money in a position. And like these are things, because at the end of the day, like, a lot of these protocols are not legitimate businesses. They're not run by legitimate business owners that know what they're doing, right? It's just some guy that had an idea, or maybe he's been successful at running bots on his own and now wants to set up a smart contract and make a bunch of money that way too. It's like,
or even a whale decides to get out of the protocol, and it just the contract dips and everybody freaks out. I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a crazy place we're in, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Well, cool, man. I don't think that we need to make this AMA any longer than it needs to be. We're at about 25 minutes, which is pretty much typical for live videos. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, I'm sure feel free to jump in the Discord. I'm sure Pocket will answer any and all questions that you guys have about iBots.
And the team's really good too, so
yeah. Well, cool. Other than that, guys, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.